Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA episode 404. I am Brendan. UFC Fight Night, Whittaker versus Aliskerov. We're going to talk about all those fights, break them all down round by round, talk about some questionable refereeing, some interesting judge decisions. We'll get through all that stuff. If you like this kind of thing, subscribe to the channel. That way you know the next video is coming out, and I'd appreciate it. All right. Let's talk about the main event and some implications, because the main event did not last that long. Robert Whittaker taking on Ikram Aliskerov. Obviously, he was supposed to fight Chimaev, but we all know Chimaev doesn't fight anymore. He just talks about fighting. He's very similar in Conor McGregor in that regard. Talks about fighting, talking about we all remember I kill everyone. He talks about it, but I don't know if he bees about it. Really, what it is like the guy's really inconsistent as far as making it to the fight on time, making it to the fight on weight, making to the fight at all. Just the guy is one of the least reliable guys in the UFC when it comes to big names. I'm sure there's some other fighters who are more obscure, who don't make it, don't do all these things that they're supposed to do, and then they get cut. But that won't happen to Chimaev. So, anyway, Ikram Aliskerov steps up on short notice. For him, it's a short notice fight, but he was fight ready last week. He was supposed to take on Paulo Costa. That didn't go through. And then he was fight ready. So it's not like he was totally out of shape and just stepped off the couch. So no excuses there. A little bit of excuse maybe for the fighting style. But it is Robert Whittaker. Low kicks, leaping jabs were working really well for him early. Whittaker lands a nasty right-hand counter to the low kick, and Aliskerov is doing the stanky leg. Whittaker chases him down, landing some nasty uppercuts, and it's over. He just puts him out. Crowd in the replay noticeably not getting out of their seats. Whittaker, he really needs a title fight. And let's look at, I'll show you why. Okay, in the rankings, right, before this, Robert Whittaker was 3. It's unlikely that he's going to supersede Sean Strickland or Israel Adesanya for a title shot. Obviously, in Perth in a few months or a month here, Adesanya's taking on Duplessis. However that turns out, I doubt, barring a draw, there shouldn't be an immediate rematch for any reason. If Duplessis wins, there's no reason to Adesanya to get it because he's coming off a loss anyway. If Adesanya wins, Duplessis just got the title. Why would they give him an immediate rematch? Very rarely am I a fan of that kind of thing. Anyway, Robert Whittaker is now 3rd. Imavov coming off of that win. Controversial finish to Cannonier. Great performance by him, but the finish was controversial. So it's unlikely they're going to throw him in the title picture. They could make Whittaker fight him, which I think it would be stupid. I think Imavov taking on the loser of the title fight makes sense, and Whittaker taking on the winner. That makes the most sense to me. Right? Actually, Sean Strickland needs a title shot too. God dang it. This is what, oh man. Duplessis should not have gotten that title. For nothing other than it just makes matchmaking more difficult. But Whittaker mentioned this. We'll move on after this, just because there wasn't a lot to break down. But I'd like to reiterate this point. I did this last time, I can't remember how many fights ago. Maybe against Marvin Vettori? I think it was Marvin Vettori. What Robert Whittaker mentioned after the fight that he was the most dangerous man in the division. And I went through his fights and I looked at him, and honestly, I still think he has an argument to be made, although with Duplessis being the champion now, I don't know if that's the case. He doesn't have the longest track record in the division for us to look at, but he is a pretty dangerous guy. I think the argument between Whittaker and Adesanya as far as being most dangerous, right? Obviously, they're both great, and Whittaker has lost to Adesanya multiple times. The second time, very close, very, very close decision. But he still has 2 losses to him. So you can say, how could Whittaker be more dangerous than Adesanya, a guy who beat him twice? Well, when Adesanya was going through the division and he's beating these guys, he's not exactly he was coming through with a lot of decisions. He wasn't finishing people. People kind of, I mean, they weren't scared to fight Izzy. Like, it's one of those things where it's almost semantics. But I looked at it as Whittaker, when someone goes to fight him, you know, they come out looking different. You know, they take a lot of punishment. Fighting Whittaker is never a fun fight. And to this day, he has still not lost to anyone who is not the champion since 2014 when he was in a different division. To this day, his only losses in this division are to Israel Adesanya twice, both of them for the belt, right? And Dricus du Plessis, which was the title eliminator. Well, so-called title eliminator. I don't think they were giving Whittaker the title shot if he won. Oh no, he might have, because that would have been against Sean Strickland. So there's lots of fun matchups for Whittaker here. Sean Strickland and him still have not fought. I think that would be a fun fight. I would prefer not to see that unless it's for a title. We have some really good storylines. Sean Strickland said he'll sit out. I think Whittaker will probably stay active, which, you know, can hurt people in the long run. Whittaker's he's one of the best middleweights of all time. He is. Look at his track record. It's really hard to argue with. Yes, you can argue about his level of competition, but from the people that were put in front of him, his only losses are his only definitive losses are to du Plessis and Israel Adesanya one time, right? And yes, there was a close loss, and it's still a loss on his record, so that still counts against him, but it was a competitive fight in the second Adesanya fight. So he has beaten everybody else, all other contenders, and everybody who has gotten a title shot has either done it around him, not fought him at all, like Pereira did, or came off a loss to him, had to go fight someone else, beat them, and then got a title shot. Right? Other than du Plessis. You can say what you want about du Plessis, but he did it legit. You know, he went on, took on Whittaker, and went for a title. That's how it should be done when Whittaker's still in the division like this. Okay. Great performance by Whittaker. Really, really fast finish. Sergei Pavlovich taking on Alexander Volkov. Former training partners with different stories depending on who you ask. Volkov seemed to have a much more fuzzy memory of, not fuzzy, warm and fuzzy memory of their training times, and Pavlovich seemed more distant, saying like, oh, we only trained together for like a year and a half, maybe. We barely ever talked. And Volkov's like, no, we trained together for 3 years. We were like decent friends, and I helped him out a lot. Whatever. Volkov used his length really well. Obviously, he didn't have the reach advantage with the hands, but being the taller fighter, using those legs and keeping Pavlovich at distance really gave him problems. Volkan was using those kicks and the long jab to stay on the outside. Pavlovich can land the jab and is loading up on the right hand, looking to end it with one shot, but he stopped throwing that as the fight went on, and even stopped throwing the jab effectively as the fight went on. He still found it in moments, right? But consistently, he was waiting a lot. And point fighting with Volkov just isn't going to get you the rounds. He's doing a really good job landing those low kicks. Volkov was. It's just looking at the striking numbers here, 26-15. It's like I said, if you're just going to do this striking battle with Volkov, like a point striking type of thing, you're going to lose. You're going to lose unless you are way faster and you dart in and out. And you avoid all the shots coming back. Like you have to do not everything perfect, but you have to be so much better in the striking department. Like did he beat Alistair Overeem? He did. Even Alistair Overeem. I mean, Alistair Overeem was, not a shell of himself, but he was chinny. Alistair Overeem couldn't even do that, and he's one of the best in the world at doing that kind of thing. And he got knocked out. Pavlovich is just waiting a lot, taking those kicks, sitting on the outside, landing a jab now and then, but he's just not closing the distance enough. Volkov would do well to throw a high kick, and as I'm writing that, of course, he throws one. He didn't throw him enough, in my opinion. Could have possibly ended the night with one of those. Great left hand from Volkov after he throws those outside kicks. And then another great round for Volkov, 31-15. It's even more definitive than the first round. Volkov just comfortably ahead, 20-18. Last round here, Volkov's corner combed his hair in between rounds. Freaking classic move there. Pavlovich finding more success this round, but he's still taking all those low kicks and jabs. They're just starting to stand and trade, and Pavlovich's face is busted up pretty bad, right? Oddly, Pavlovich goes for the clinch with 50 seconds left. Weird move. Being down, I don't know what he was planning on doing to try and get the finish there. Volkov should win this last round as well. It was, Pavlovich did land some good shots, but 26-16, it's no different than the first round. Yeah, in fact, this was a better round than the first round for Volkov as far as head strike differential. This one had a 3-strike head strike differential, 17-14. He should fight for a title after this. We can go look at let's look at the scorecards first. All right. Let's see. Anders Olsen and Clemens Werner both gave all 3 rounds of Volkov. Vito Palillo, the fuck, gave the first round to Pavlovich. Okay, so this is one of those cases where I can tell you why that he thought Pavlovich won. It's the striking differential, 14-9 to the head in favor of Pavlovich. It's wrong. This is objectively incorrect. He outstruck him to the legs, 11-0, and those are good leg kicks, and 6-1 for the body shots. Again, good body shots. And a 5-strike differential to the head, in which the strikes coming back from Volkov were just as powerful, if not more powerful, the ones that landed to the ones of Pavlovich. The overall striking differential holds in this case of 26-15 in favor of Volkov. This should be his round. That's a bad scorecard. But bad scorecard. It's good. No one's going to talk about it. Okay, so Sergei Pavlovich was 3 before this. He will not be. He was likely to switch spots with Volkov, or possibly, switch spots with Volkov. Volkov's likely to be 4 or 3, depending if he bumps Blades. If he switches with Pavlovich, or if Blades bumps up one. Blades is taking on Aspinall for the interim title, which is stupid. It should be for the real title. John Jones should vacate. This is dumb. They did it to Ngannou. Why aren't they doing it to Jones? The heavyweight division is such shambles. Stipe Miocic is going to be fighting for the title sometime. Why he's in the rankings still, I have no idea. I love This is coming from a guy who really loves Miocic, by the way. I understand what he's doing. If the UFC's given someone an opportunity, why wouldn't they take it? This is not his fault, right? As the champion, you can do a whole bunch of things, but as a challenger, and they tell you, you'll get a title shot when we tell you, but you don't have to fight. Okay, cool. Almeida, got sent back by Blades, but he's in there. So, Volkov, coming off a win against number 3, should be next in line to fight for what I consider to be the real title, which is the winner of Blades versus Aspinall. Because you know damn well he's not fighting Jones. Jones ain't fighting Volkov. There's no reason for that shit. He could. There could be a possibility where Jones sees an easy win there and wants to do it, but I don't see that happening. So, anyway, I hope he gets a title shot after the real title, which is, and then Cyril Gane is in there, but Cyril Gane is busy doing, I think he's filming movies or something. All right, let's get to a really close fight. Each one of these rounds was very close. All right, Kelvin Gastelum versus Daniel Rodriguez. Like I said, very, very close. Can't believe Gastelum still can't get his weight in order. But before we get into the fight, let's talk about this just for a second, and I promise we'll get into it. Kelvin Gastelum was my pick to be the 170-pound champion a long time ago. I thought for sure he was going to do it. The way that he beat Uriah Hall, the way that he was coming up, the way he challenged Tyron Woodley. But amidst all of those fights, the Tyron Woodley one was an outright bad decision. He should have got that win. I think it was down in Mexico. Anyway, Gastelum has never, ever been disciplined enough to get his weight in order. Still can't do it. To this day, I still don't understand why they're allowing him to do this. They were supposed to fight at 170. He knew he wasn't going to make the weight, so he asked for 185. I mean, I know he fought at 185 for a while. I just thought he was a little undersized, and he possibly could have been champion. I just didn't see it happening in the current landscape, and we saw what happened. He got sent back too many times. So at 170, though, definitely a challenger. I could have seen him beating Usman. I could have seen him beating Colby Covington. Could have seen him beating all those guys. But not if you weigh 180 pounds. Anyway, Rodriguez is doing a good job with the jab and the low kick. Gastelum's trying to punch his way in and move with it. Rodriguez was using his reach to stay out of range. He's so difficult to get in on. Gastelum was slowly working his way past the jab and keeping the head moving, finding his range as the round started to go on. Very close round with both guys having their moments, and Rodriguez probably landed more, which he did, 46-44. But here's the thing. I would give it to him if he wasn't backing up after every shot. I just don't think he did enough. If you look at the striking numbers here in the first round, 27-25 to the head, 15-6 to the body for Rodriguez, and 11-6 for the legs in favor of Gastelum. So this is one of those ones where everything's so damn close in here, except for the body shots, that, was the damage so far in one direction that you could easily call it? I would say no. I'd say it was really close. So then we go off of who was pressuring the whole time. It was Gastelum. So I would have given this to Rodriguez if he had pressure, if he didn't backstep the entire time. Second round, Rodriguez using that jab a lot better. Even if it isn't landing, he's able to follow up with that left hand sometimes. Gastelum is still pressing forward, avoiding many of the jabs, but not able to put the strikes together the way he did in the first round. Gets a takedown, but they get right back up. Close round with Rodriguez doing more damage this time, even though it was close. The damage was close. 53-37 in favor of Rodriguez. That jab really did the difference here. 19-19 going to the third round. Gastelum coming out hot like he did in the first round. Calf kicks from Gastelum adding up. Rodriguez landing that jab in the 1-2. It was really close until Gastelum starts pressing in, gets an easy takedown, gets right to side control. And then they get back up, but he gets right back down. You can't give that last round to Rodriguez. There was not enough damage to outweigh all the other stuff that happened. And if you look at the scorecards here, interestingly, Mark Collette and Clemens Warner gave all 3 rounds to Gastelum. Probably would have given that second. I think that second round was Rodriguez. And then Ben Cartledge over here, he's got the right scorecard, giving that second round to Rodriguez. And I don't know how you gave that second round to Gastelum. You got tuned up. All right. Let's talk about some fouls, shall we? Whole bunch of them. Whole bunch of fouls. Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Antonio Trocoli. Like broccoli. Bad fight to watch. Not fun. Magomedov looking for kicks as he backs up. Trocoli landing some nasty right hands and then gets the clinch. Then Trocoli grabs the fence and loses position from the ref. Okay. This is Mark Goddard, a very experienced ref. Really good ref most of the time. He makes some mistakes here and there, but the decision to pull Trocoli away from the fence because he was holding it and pulling himself towards it and keeping Magomedov against the fence, using the fence, that's okay. Take the position away, sure. Immediately addressed. The punishment was doled out. Instead of taking a point, he took the position away from him. It happened earlier in the night. We'll talk about that in the preliminary card in the next video. But this one, okay, fair enough. I'm spending time talking about this because it plays a role later. Magomedov landing kicks at range, keeping distance, staying away, and then again, Trocoli lands a couple really nice right hands. Magomedov might have landed more with the leg kicks, but the damage and control went to Trocoli. So if you look at the striking numbers here, again, Magomedov landed more, 19-12, but if you look at those big shots that came from Trocoli, they did way more damage than anything that Magomedov was doing, and all the control time went to Trocoli here. So I had it 10-9 for him. Second round, Trocoli just pressing forward and standing there, taking all the kicks, just not throwing a lot out there. He was out, like it looked like he was very tired. Apparently, he had a hard time making weight. So Magomedov grabs the fence to prevent a takedown, a nasty one where the fence is like caving in as he's pulling it to keep himself up. Goddard does nothing, just warns him about it. No positional doesn't take the position away. So stupid. This round went to Magomedov, and so did the last round. Really dumb. Magomedov ends up getting the finish. Trocoli looks super tired. So we don't need to talk about the fight. Whatever happened, Magomedov looks like he did before. He kicks really well, has bad takedown defense, and needs to work on stuff. Anyway, this is important. One of the things that I like to talk about all the time is not that I expect referees to get it right every single time, nor do I expect each referee to have the same decision making all the time either, right? But fight to fight, event to event, what I expect and what should be expected by everyone is consistency in refereeing. Now, you can't expect it from everybody. Again, people are different. They see things different. They have different subjective views on what's happening in the octagon. Totally understand. Same thing with judging. Now, can you be upset about that? Absolutely. But it's just the nature of being human. Okay? People are going to make different decisions than other people. But all that's moot because this isn't even a different fight. This is not a different event, and this is not a different referee. This is the same referee in the same event, in the same fight, making two different decisions off the same fucking foul. Unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. There is no excuse for it. And you can't be like, oh, well, like maybe he saw something slightly different in this one. What slightly different did he fucking see? What do you think? Holding yourself against the fence and pulling yourself in to keep your opponent locked in between you and the fence, that's egregious. It's bad. It's awful. Holding the fence to stop a guy from taking you down, as bad, if not worse, because that's a change in position, right? Holding him there, like, it's cheating and it's bad, and I'm not going to excuse it. There's no change in position, though. Like, there's no attempted change in position. In fact, it's the opposite. You're trying to not change position by doing that. Whereas the other one, it's blatant, out in the open, obvious. There's no excuse for this one. It's not like, oh, well, maybe he thought the position wouldn't have gone to the ground. Okay, so then what? Maybe he thought that the fight would either dude. It should have been a point deduction, and then we would have been fighting for a draw, or who knows. You can't even play this what if game because Trocoli could have got the takedown and kept Magomedov on his back the entire time and not gotten tired. Maybe in the last round he's got energy. These decisions matter, man. That sucked. Fight wasn't fun to watch either. That sucked. Johnny Walker taking on Volkan Oezdemir. I don't know. I've had high hopes for Johnny Walker. He just doesn't have the chin, the movement to I don't know. So you got some guys who keep their hands down all the time. I mean, hell, Whittaker did it. And able to get their guard back up or move their head well. Gastelum did it as well, but he's also got a really good chin. And like, it's one of these things, man, where you see all these skills, like it's somebody like Johnny Walker with the power, the movement, and the abilities and all this stuff. And he's got, I don't even think it's an Achilles heel. It's just whatever it is, everybody knows how to beat him now, and they're able to do it regularly. Volkan Oezdemir walking him down, Walker's trying to kick him as he's going backwards. Oezdemir finally finds his way into range, getting Walker against the fence, landing a hard left hand, putting Walker down, keeping the pressure on, and gets the big finish, knocking him out cold. Oezdemir looked good. Okay, Oezdemir coming off of, oh man, losing to Nikita Krylov via decision back in 2022, and then 2023 stepping it back up, getting the sub, and then now getting the knockout. He's back in it, man. Where is he at in the rankings? 10? 9. Okay. Oezdemir beating number 7. That puts him, I would say, 2 wins away from a title shot, depending on if Pereira wants to actually fight in this division or if he's going to go up to heavyweight or go back down to middleweight. Who knows? The UFC seems to have given up when it comes to quality control, when it comes to light heavyweight and heavyweight. They're just kind of like, let's see if we can make a name. I don't think Pereira's a draw. I know some people who are huge fans of his or huge fans of the UFC think he's a draw. He's not, guys. Nobody knows who this fucking guy is. He's not. Like, a draw is someone who can transcend the sport and transcend the casuals, which he can't. He just doesn't. You talk about, like, oh, it's so cool that he does this and it's so cool that he does that and all this stuff. Go talk to any random person on the street. Go ask them if they know who John Jones is or Anderson Silva, GSP, Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, Conor McGregor. Okay? Go ask them about those people. Even Khabib. They might even know Khabib because of Conor. Donald Cerrone maybe, but even that one, I don't think people are going to know who Donald Cerrone is. Anyway, the point is, if you think you're a draw, if you think these people are a draw, go test it. Put him on the head of a card and don't give him any help. Don't give him anybody else on the card and see what happens. You think that's breaking 300,000? Probably not. Don't put anybody else on it. Like, don't stack the card and then say he drew it. Put Conor McGregor on there and then put a bunch of Korean fighters fighting for the Ultimate Fighter or some shit. Or a bunch of South American fighters. I only mention that because of it's nothing against those people from those areas of the world, right? It's not that they're not good or whatever. It's literally just that in America, like in the US, that's not a big draw. They're not household names. They're not invested in it. Like less relatable. Not relatable, just less relatable, less known, all this stuff, right? Put up a bunch of unknown, random people from all over the world and put Conor McGregor at the top of the card versus a tomato can, and that'll sell. That'll do 700,000 buys. I mean, we are talking about the biggest draw in MMA history, so. Anywho, if he ever fights again, that's it. I appreciate y'all for stopping by. We're gonna break down the prelims on the next video. Thank you so much. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of thing. That way, the next video is coming out. I'd love that stuff. If you like the video, hit the like button. Man, this wasn't a horrible card, but god dang, man, weird reffing really bums me out. All right, I hope you guys have an amazing week. Love you guys.